Compact keyboards with the number pad are pretty rare these days, but Satechi has designed a compelling option for users who don't want a full-size keyboard, but who still want the number pad functionality. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the Satechi X2, show all the different features it has, and help you decide if you should buy this keyboard or if maybe there's a better option for you. Now, I do want to say that Satechi sent me the X2 for free for purposes of making this video. They have no input into this content. This is going to be based on my experience using this in the real world. So my favorite thing about the Satechi products is that they just look like something that Apple would make. This almost perfectly matches the Apple Magic Keyboard in the look and in the feel. It's going to feel very similar to using any of the Mac keyboards. It has a fixed angle on it, so kind of a shallow angle, very minimal key travel on it as well. There are a couple little rubber feet in the box as well that you can use that'll lift it up a little bit, but they have adhesive on it so you can't just add or take them off, and there's no fold up feet on the bottom. I found this to be a very comfortable and pretty quiet keyboard to type on, and it felt just like typing on any of my other Mac keyboards. So let's do a typing test on this. So the X2 is a pretty quiet keyboard. I didn't notice any crazy volume out of it. I did notice though that it really seems to show fingerprints on it really bad, which is pretty annoying, especially considering the fact that I don't really eat much when I'm on the computer. So that's just the oils on my fingers getting on the keys. So if you don't like seeing fingerprints, you will probably need to clean this keyboard regularly. This keyboard does support Bluetooth or USB connections, and you can pair it with up to 4 Bluetooth devices at once. To change the Bluetooth connection, you just press and hold the 1, 2, 3, or 4 buttons in the top right corner, or you can activate the USB functionality by holding function down and pressing the disc eject button, which also there's a disc eject button if you still have a CD player. This is rechargeable using USB-C, and it also works in that hardwired mode as well. They do give you a nice USB-C cord in the box. It also has some other shortcut buttons that are very similar to all the other Apple keyboards. They all work really well. The big cons to this keyboard are, number one, the fingerprints, and the next con that I did notice with it is the backlight shuts off after a couple minutes. So it'll dim at a minute in, and then a couple minutes later it'll shut off. So I wish the backlight would stay on longer instead of going down. But it is really nice that they were actually able to get a backlight in this keyboard, because none of the Apple keyboards have a backlight in them. So you can adjust the brightness with the F5 and the F6 buttons. Another thing about the X2 is it's basically just the standard X1 keyboard, but with the number pad slapped onto the side of it. So the arrow keys are the same as they are on the X1, but for me, whenever I wasn't looking down, I found that sometimes I would try to hit the enter button and use that as the right, because the right arrow key is right beside the 0. So I did notice I would tend to lose sight of the arrow key because of how close it is to the number pad. But on the bright side, whenever you do go over to use the number pad, it's a very close reach, so it's not like moving over quite as far with a full-size keyboard. Also, I don't typically find myself wanting full-size arrow keys, so the full-size left and right and the half-size up and down are just fine to me. But if you do want the full-size arrow keys, then you'll probably want to get the Satechi X3 instead. This one is the full-size version of this keyboard. But if you think that the number pad is going to be kind of close, then that might get on your nerves, and you might need to go for the X1 instead to save a little bit of size. The Satechi X2 does go for $80. I feel like this is a really good deal because it looks like an Apple keyboard, it has the backlighting, it has USB-C connectivity, and you can pair it with up to 4 devices at a time. So that's really all the functionality you need in a keyboard like this. The biggest cons to this keyboard are the backlighting shutting off after just a little bit, and the fact that the keys smudge pretty easily. And I also noticed the texture of these keys is a little bit different than the Apple ones. It's not a big deal, but it feels a little bit cheaper than the Apple keyboard. So if you want the most premium feel, you'll probably prefer the Apple keyboard. But if you really want to get that Magic Keyboard like look on this side with the number pad on the right side, then the Satechi X2 is going to be a really great option for you. If you're interested in buying this keyboard, I do have links to buy in the description below. If you have any other questions, leave a comment down below. I'll do my best to answer them. Like this video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any upcoming content.